All right, so I'm done on the outside. I went ahead and I put Osite ceiling fabric in the bathroom just to cover up the damage from the water. It's not 100%, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. Definitely looks better. Okay, so in this third video, it might be the last video, we'll find out. We've already addressed the roof. Roof's brand new now. Rear walls put back together. Now we just have to look at the inside, that floor in the kitchen area that I had warned you guys about. The front roof hole had been leaking for quite some time to the point where it rotted out the floor. Somebody had done a band-aid repair by putting a whole bunch of plywood on top of the hole and then putting some wood flooring on top of that. So now the floor is about 2 inches taller than it probably should have been. So I have to rip all that out, and that's where I find our next problem. So the last thing was the next thing is the biggest thing, because I didn't realize this when I got it. I should have realized it, but I was in a rush. This floor has been rotten right there. So somebody went through all the effort to put hardwood floor down. I thought this stuff was just cut too tight, and so it was bowed once it got wet. But once I saw that transition right there, I thought maybe I was wrong, and I was. So I need to rip up all this old flooring all the way into the bedroom right there, into the bathroom. And I'm going to put down vinyl plank flooring, just because that stuff goes down pretty easily. At least that's my hope. Hopefully I don't find more rotten in here. I don't know. Alright, well, I got the old subfloor patch floor up. And this is what happens when you trust a seller. You find out that the floor was rotten. This is not something I really wanted to do. I kind of felt this was coming. Looks like it was just isolated to this area though. So I should be able to patch in a new subfloor right there, because I do have frame right there. We have frame there. I'll sister joist those and then put a seam underneath all that so we can actually get this put back together. That's just a shame that people would do that to other people. I don't know. Sometimes people just don't care. Hopefully it'll be done. Alright guys, I'll apologize for this right now, but when I was doing this floor on the trailer, I was not in a very good mood, and I was not looking to film everything. I was just trying to get it done, because I did not expect to rip that up to see a great big opening in the floor there. Alright, so it's all framed in. Underneath here is actually a cross member for the actual frame itself, just like there's one under here. Everything's sistered under there. At any rate, what I did was I cut out all the rotten subfloor to the base of the cabinets right there. It was good underneath the cabinets, just right there at the toe kick, it was bad. And then I cut a nice straight, as much of a straight rectangle as I could. I used an oscillating tool, so that took a long time to use it that way, but I find those make straight cuts, not too deep, especially when you consider a circular saw wouldn't have fit there. All right, so with my rough opening, they're 2x3s. You can pick them up at the hardware store. I didn't have to rip them down. There was the perfect size. I made a picture frame all the way on the inside under that border, or under that opening, right? So that the entire cut plywood was on top of that. I doubled that up so that the plywood I'm putting on top was going to be on top of that seam. So that seam, it's not splitting the difference of the of one thickness of 2x3. Each one is on its own thickness of 2x3, so it's close to 3 inches by, I don't know what, 2.5 inches. So it's 2 thicknesses thick on that seam. And then on the braces, where where the steel frame was underneath and you could see it, I put all the way across and then secured it both ways. So that was secured at the front, in the middle, and towards the back too. And then that framing was underneath the plywood, underneath the cabinet. I could then go from underneath the cabinet subfloor into that picture frame that I went all the way around. And then I've secured it from there. There's actually 2 pieces there, 2 pieces there, and of course 2 pieces here. So this should be quite strong. It's all boxed in. Should be the strongest part of the floor now. Now I just have to put some subfloor on top of it. After all that, I put new fiberglass insulation on it, and then I cut the plywood subfloor to fit. I sanded the joints nice and smooth to each other, so it was nice in the transition. There wasn't a gap there or a lip. And then I did use some fiberglass drywall tape. It really was just Bondo, a really high quality automotive Bondo filler, to fill the gaps in between the 2 layers and sanded that smooth. It doesn't look smooth, but again, I was not in a very good mood at this time, and I'm very, very sorry. So the fiberglass was just to help bond the 2 pieces together and give the Bondo a little bit more body in between, so if it didn't crack so much. And that should be where you guys find me now. Hopefully that explanation worked a little bit better. Let's get back to the repair. All right, subfloor's in, patch is done. Just filled it with some fiberglass tape and some wood filler Bondo. Should be a lot stronger than it ever was before. It won't be perfect. Now I'm just gonna lay the flooring over the top of it and see how this goes. All right, so I'm 3 rows in. This is how it's turning out. I'm doing this all wrong, but it's turning out fine. All right, so the flooring's going down pretty well. I got the floor patch done. Feels pretty good. Get the dinette area done. That's why I like this flooring. It goes down pretty fast. It's very forgiving. Unlike stick down tiles, this still floats, which is good on an RV. And unlike rolled flooring, you don't have to be perfect with it. But yeah, you just pick it up at the normal box store. Got sticky side up on one side and sticky side down on the other side, which just interlocks with the existing stuff. Whenever I'm doing plank flooring, I like to do a random seam. I don't like to have a brick or a stacked seam, because then it takes a lot more time to make sure everything looks good. And if you're off by even like a 1/4 inch, it's pretty obvious. And with this flooring anyways, the seams are pretty much hidden. The flooring itself just becomes one big floating interlocked monolith, which is what I really like. So let's I'll cut it. I have to put another piece down. It's going to go right there. And it has that end has to be cut off, but I don't want that seam to line up with that seam, so I'm going to cut it probably right about there, so that I'm not too close to that seam. So I just arbitrarily decided to cut it there. I'm going to use a pair of tin snips. You can also just use a box cutter or a razor knife, but tin snips been working pretty good for me. I also prefer this stuff over the interlocking vinyl flooring, because that stuff, a lot of times you have to put it up on edge to and sometimes you just can't get it around slide outs, flooring, cabinetry to do it all perfectly. So I like to just get one edge started and kind of just push it close, and then you just stick it down. It's also contoured to the ground pretty well. Obviously sweep up whatever's there. But there it is. We're making great progress. I'm going to carry this hopefully into the bedroom and the bathroom area. But one thing at a time. What are we calling this stuff anyways? Traffic Master grip strip flooring. I've been using it for a while now. I don't know, about 6 or 7 years. Really happy with it. But I did finish it up a couple days ago. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. So here it is, all finished up. Seems to be a lot better to me. Definitely not worse. Let's get new furnace vents too, obviously. Need 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I want a new vent for right there. And this thing will be ready to be, I guess, kind of lived in. So this floor, like I said, it doesn't really interlock. It just sticks to itself and becomes one monolith. And so it flexes with the trailer. And like I said, it's a lot easier than try to cut the rolled flooring. Well, I'll be honest, I didn't plan on rebuilding a 96 Terry trailer. It took me about a week. It was a lot of work. I would not recommend doing this. This was a bad decision I made. But once you make decisions, I guess you have to, suffer the consequences. Overall, it looks a lot better than it ever probably could have. I'm pretty pleased with it, and I'll feel just fine living in this thing. Bye, guys. Okay, so why did I get this trailer if I knew it was so bad? I mean, I have a little bit of shame since, you know, as an RV inspector, why would I get something like this? The main reason is that the seller assured me that up until a month ago, the family was actually using this to camp in, and they had just spent the summer camping in it. And nobody would really camp in something that was unsafe to travel down the road, unsafe to live in, and in relatively bad condition. And so what I found out was that seller was a liar. I don't say that lightly, but it was pretty evident once I went through this. This thing hadn't been touched or lived in for the better part of, I would say, 6 to 8 months, maybe a year. Just the amount of spiders that were living in it, amount of wasp nests I found, and just the relative amount of garbage and debris that had been left on the roof and in other compartments and accumulated. So, you know, lesson learned. Don't trust the seller. I probably should have known that by now.